a lot of my friends went the 9 to 5 route, which is fine, and like they're happy in that. But for me, it was kind of, I never really wanted to do that. I wanted to kind of go my own path. And so I've been pushing for that for a long time for myself, and it's kind of hard sometimes. This was finally the break that I kind of was waiting for. It was awesome.
This is the Adventure Sports Podcast, where we talk to athletes, adventurers, and business owners from around the world of adventure sports. Whether you're climbing Mount Everest, starting a bike shop, or getting up off your couch to take your kids hiking for the first time, we want you to have the motivation and inspiration you need to chase that next adventure. The Adventure Sports Podcast is brought to you by Camp Crate, the leaders in fully planned self-guided backpacking adventures, as well as backpacking gear rental. You can check them out at campcrate.net. So there's this new backpacking food company called Peak Refuel. And honestly, I gave them a shot for my last backpacking trip. Y'all, it was literally the best backpacking food I've ever had in my life. I was so impressed by them that I wanted to reach out and get a deal for our listeners. So if you keep listening to the episode, I'll tell you how to save 20% off an order with them.
Hey friends, check out Powder7.com, new sponsor for the Adventure Sports Podcast. I've worked with these guys for a couple of years, and two of my sons have bought their most recent pairs of skis there. What's cool is that while they do sell new skis, they also sell previously used demo skis. And these demo skis come with demo binding, so no need to remount anything. And they are sold for less than half of what you would have to pay otherwise. Great deal, great website, great people. Check out Powder7.com.
So pretty much none of us are ever going to have the opportunity to get paid to travel full time, apart from a lot of hard work and building that life for ourselves. But what if an opportunity like that was basically given to you, and you could travel, do adventure, pursue your sport, and be paid from somebody else? It sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? Well, today we're interviewing Paul Corgan, who honestly just entered a contest in passing and ended up being selected to be paid $60,000 to travel for 6 months straight. And what you did, where you went, and the content you created, as well as the adventure you created, was totally up to you. It was a completely blank canvas. And I want to hear from our listeners to say, what would you do with Paul's opportunity? You can leave us a voicemail and give us a call at 812-MAIL-POD. That's 812-MAIL-POD. Let us know what you would do with $60,000 for 6 months of a totally blank canvas to travel and do adventure in the United States. Pretty awesome opportunity. Congratulations, Paul. I hope you enjoy our conversation about what he's done with it so far and what he plans to do with it, and where he goes from there, because honestly, it is legitimately a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, most likely, and Paul is about halfway done with it. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the show, Paul. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, no problem, man. This is Paul Corgan. If people ask you, what do you do? What do you tell them?
So I travel pretty much full time right now. I do Instagram promotional marketing stuff, but really it's just to enable me to be able to travel and do what I love, which is just seeing new places and meeting new people.
So what kind of things do you do?
So I'm a photographer pretty much by trade. So I do a lot of product photos in different places where I travel to. And where I travel, I try to learn new things and push myself a little bit out of my comfort zone just to be able to full-time travel.
So would you say that your adventures are really kind of surrounded around photography?
Yeah, I kind of see that as a means to an end in a way. I really love photography, but it enables me to be able to travel. So I do photo while I'm traveling to these amazing places and kind of document it, share those on Instagram and with different brands that I work with. And yeah, it's a pretty good deal because it lets me see the world. So I'm pretty happy.
You know, there's like a million Instagram photographers. How have you carved out the ability to get paid for it?
Yeah, so I started as a social media marketing person with just like small businesses locally, and then I would have the free time to be able to travel because it's really hard to travel when you're locked down with a 9 to 5, I found. And so I started doing that, but then I lucked out really with this White Claw hard seltzer best life competition that I entered. And they wanted two people, male and a female, to travel the country, the U.S., to explore and push ourselves to live our best lives, and kind of work with their product in the meantime. So I lucked out with that, and that got me on to doing this full time now. And that was a 6-month program, and I'm still halfway through that basically. And I get to travel, and White Claw pays for everything, and they facilitate me to have new experiences and live kind of what they call my best life.
How's it going so far?
It's been great. I started with a cross country road trip for about 2.5 months of it, which was something I'd been wanting to do for a while. Although I did do a road trip earlier this year too. I really love just being on the road and seeing new places every day, waking up in new places. So I've done a lot so far, and this next month's going to be crazy with a bunch more travel. I'm going to learn salsa dancing in Miami in Florida, and then I'm going to be going to check out the music scene in New Orleans. All these places I've not really been to yet, so I'm really excited to be in these places and experience the kind of culture there, and then also push myself to do some kind of adventurous things. I definitely want to be in a helicopter at some point soon, which isn't the most adventurous thing, but for me, it's my motion sickness. That's pretty adventurous. And I definitely want to do a backpacking trip early next year in January, and kind of push myself, because I've done a little bit of that, but I really want to try to get out there a bit more and learn how to do that, so I feel more comfortable doing it myself.
Cool, man. Well, I run a backpacking trip planning itinerary service and gear rental service. So if White Claw is willing to pay for it, man, we can send you on one of our famous trips.
That's awesome. It's all about that.
It's totally self-guided, but everything you need from itinerary to permits to everything is in the box, and we can ship it right to your hotel or where you're going to be. I hate to plug that so easily, but it sounds like that's exactly what you would need.
Exactly. Yeah. That sounds perfect.
And then you return it back to us via a return shipping label that's already in the box too. So, yeah, we'll talk about that after the show. But
yeah,
so
that sounds awesome.
This contest with White Claw is hard seltzer, and basically they wanted someone to be an ambassador while traveling. How did you enter that? And I mean, did you think you were going to win? Because that's quite a freaking opportunity, you know?
Yeah. Well, first I entered it back in March of this year. And I just wrote a little 250 word thing about how I'd live my best life, or how I do. And really what I said was basically, a lot of my friends went the 9 to 5 route, which is fine. And like, that's they're happy in that. But for me, it was just a kind of, I never really wanted to do that. I wanted to kind of go my own path and, not work the standard hours and work in a creative field. And so I've been pushing for that for a long time for myself, and it's kind of hard sometimes. But this was finally the break that I kind of was waiting for. It was awesome. I just put a photo with that in the 250 words, sent that in, and then a few months later heard back. Had kind of forgotten I applied, to be honest, because you apply to things that are kind of these dream job opportunities, and you don't think it's actually ever work out. But yeah, and then they got back to me and set up an interview. I was top 5 for the guys, and there's another winner, Christine, who's the female winner. And we were in the top 5 of those groups, and then we interviewed, and I found out on I believe it was a Monday morning via email that I'd won, and it was pretty crazy.
Jeez, man. So do you feel like, oh crap, now I have to produce?
Yeah, there was definitely that feeling. It's funny you say that, because a lot of people are like, oh, that's so awesome. You have nothing to worry about. You have like all this money and freedom and whatever. And it's true. It's awesome. Like, it's an incredible opportunity. But there was some worry about, can I do this? Like, am I qualified to do this? Am I, whatever. But it's really come pretty easily as I've been doing it. I've been working hard to try to create good content for them. And basically I'm just doing, wherever I am, I'm doing a photo and kind of a write-up about what my best life is there and why it's kind of me living my best life. And so it's been pretty good. That's about once a week I do that. And at first I was a little nervous, but now I've gotten kind of into the swing of things. It's been about 3 months now. So yeah, it's been great.
Man, this is, take it from me. I'm a little older, but a lot of people are going to say, once in a lifetime opportunity. I always hated that because every trip I did was, well, I created the opportunity and I saved the money and I put in the effort. This winning a contest that, the odds are stacked against you like that, to have 6 months of basically paid travel, that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Just by statistically speaking, that doesn't mean you're not going to do incredible things after this, but to win an event like that is pretty awesome. What do you feel like the path will lead you after this 6 months?
Well, that's what I think about almost every day. As you mentioned, it's kind of stressful to think. Well, it's great that this is happening now, but it's like, what's going to be next? So yeah, I've been thinking. I really like working with photo in a creative field. I really don't think anything kind of, I've never felt a desk job's really suited for me. Depending on what it is, I would be open to stuff. But I think I'm going to continue in the path of product photography and work in food photography, because there's some companies I've been working with locally who have hired me to do food and other product kind of based stuff. And the best part of that is that it's flexible and it's on more my schedule, because I shoot when I can, and then I still have the time to travel, because I find it's really hard to have both the time and the money to travel. It's usually one or the other. Like if I'm not working a lot, I don't have much money, but I have the time. And then when I'm working a lot, it's like, how do you get time off to actually have the trips that you want to take? So for me, working in a creative field has been the answer to that, and working for myself in a way, although I am, working for these companies.
Yeah, I mean, you found a pretty awesome opportunity, and I will say, just a little advice: this is the easiest it'll ever come.
Yeah.
But that's nothing to be afraid of. I literally just got off the phone. The interview before this was with a university president who he's just not all he does, but he's so passionate about getting his students to experience the outdoors, and he's like, I want all my students to fail at some point, like fall on their face, crying in the middle of the night. Like, what am I doing with my life? Failure, he goes, because that's what creates grit, and grit is what's going to allow you to achieve things once the easy part's over. And, man, I just think this opportunity for you is really, really stinking rad. But, yeah, it'll be tough, but, just know that after that is when you'll really find that passion for it, and that, I don't know, it'll be different, but it'll be almost better in a way. But yeah, man, so far I'm looking through your pictures and they're absolutely beautiful. Is White Claw happy with the work you're doing?
Yeah, they've been so great about it. They really appreciate all I'm doing, and they always compliment me, and it's like the most supportive any client has ever been, even though they're not really my client. But they're very nice about it, and they're very willing to work with me on whichever trips I do want to do. I have a ton of freedom and autonomy in terms of choosing. So that's been really nice to work with them. The team there is great. We actually flew out there the first weekend, Christine and I, when we found out we won. We flew out to Chicago for just one night and went and did an orientation at the office. And it was just, everyone was so nice, and like, they're all like, take us with you on the trips. But they were super nice and very supportive and excited for us. So it was great.
Yeah. So like I said before, Peak Refuel is a new company making freeze-dried food. And it's literally the best freeze-dried meals I've ever had. You can use it for backpacking, camping, hunting, whatever you want to use it for. And these folks are the real deal. They spent over 2 years researching the market and creating the perfect recipes, and it is just absolutely awesome. I used the meals on my last guided trip. The people on the trip could not even believe that it was freeze-dried food. Literally, you put a cup of water in, it's like a cup or cup and a half. It's not very much water, and it tastes like it came from a restaurant. That's how good it is. If you're interested in ordering some yourself, you can get 20% off by going to peakrefuel.com and use ASP20 at checkout. I encourage you, go get some, try it for yourself. It's amazing. The Adventure Sports Podcast is also brought to you by Powder7 Ski Shop. Powder7 is Colorado's premier homegrown and family-owned ski shop. Online at powder7.com, they offer a huge selection of new and used ski gear, plus full tech and boot fitting services at their shop in Golden. With personalized customer service, they set up skiers from all over the world with perfect gear. From brands like Kesley, Rosignol, Black Crows, and Head, Powder7 is all skiing all the time. So check out powder7.com to learn more. Now, back to the episode. So is the hard seltzer any good?
Yeah, it's actually the reason I kind of found out about them was personally, I'm not huge on beer. I don't know what it is, but I don't love when I drink beer, how I feel. But I usually drink like wine and stuff. But when you're going out, you don't necessarily want to order a glass of wine. Personally, I don't like to do that at bars. And so White Claw is kind of a good alternative because it's, only got 100 calories per can. And it's, I won't sell you on the points, but it's really delicious. And it's really light and natural too. Like we did a taste test there. Against other brands and stuff. And it was really natural tasting. You don't get any of that artificial kind of like fake sweetener stuff that other brands sometimes do. So I really like it. And it's the perfect brand for me to work with because it's, focusing on an active lifestyle, which I like to do and try to push myself. And it's also just the greatest people to work with. So, yeah.
So what have you done so far with those 3 months and what are you going to do with the next?
So yeah, I started with that road trip. I went from New Hampshire and got to see the national parks there. I'd been meaning to go to Grand Teton for a long time because my grandfather a long time ago, I never met him, but he helped found the addition they put on to Grand Teton National Park. And was kind of involved in that because he was a senator in North Dakota. And so it was cool to see that and see him in some of the books at the gift shop there and whatnot. But that's, to me, the most incredible place in the country.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's cool to kind of, retrace his steps in a way, even though I never got to know him. So it was kind of a different way to get to know him, I thought. So that was really cool. And then I went out to California, down the coast. And then I've flown a few places. I went up to Vermont for a little getaway, went to an Icelandic horse farm up there, which was super cool. And then I'm again headed to New Orleans next. I'm going to be heading to Miami to learn to salsa dance. That was one of the ideas I pitched in my interview with White Claw. Because I want to push myself kind of out of my comfort zone. I'm not a dancer by any means, but I thought it'd be a fun way to get to know the culture and kind of, make myself uncomfortable intentionally for the sake of good photos and fun. So yeah, I'm really excited about what's coming next. And then January is the last month of it, and I'm headed to Hawaii, which is kind of the paramount of my U.S. travels. I'm very excited. Never been there before, so I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. You were in charge, basically, of crafting this entire trip, correct?
Yeah, they really left it up to us to pursue whatever passions we wanted to explore. Yeah, it was honestly, like you said, a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Was it daunting?
A little bit. I did have a list of things kind of that I wanted to do in the U.S. because prior to this, I've taken 2 U.S. road trips before on my own just because I love, living on the road sort of and being on my own. But there were still some places that I wanted to get to, like Hawaii, and I really wanted to get to Alaska, and I still might if it's possible in January. That's when I was hoping to go. But with weather and stuff, it can be, I think, a little tricky. Maybe I could talk to you a bit about that after the interview, actually. But I'm trying to plan it and kind of condense down my ideas to what I really want to do. was a little bit challenging, but overall it was kind of like, here's a bunch of money, do what you want, and enjoy yourself and kind of explore. So it's been overall a little bit challenging, but really just fun.
That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's just blowing my mind still how, I mean, I know that you probably get sick and tired of hearing it, but like I've just never talked to anybody in the position of like you won like the travel lotto.
Yeah.
I mean, stateside, of course, but still,
Mhm.
to me, man, I've been all over the world, seen so many places, and I decided to plant roots in the American West just because I realize there's a lot of places that are parallel in beauty, parallel in uniqueness, but nothing quite surpasses what we have here in the States. Like everything, there's so many things just as wonderful, but
Mhm.
the variety of what's out west, um, honestly, in the whole country, east to west, it is a spectacular landscape. So it is absolutely world class. I mean, there's nothing in the world like the Grand Canyon, for instance,
Yeah.
and that's just one place, one of the 60 national parks, and between Hawaii and Alaska, that just added so much more to this country when it was brought in. So this is just cool to talk to you and get a perspective on what this has been like.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, and I agree completely. It's incredible, especially like driving out when you hit those mountains in Colorado and you start seeing them rise up.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's such a diverse country. We have so much to see, and that's why I was kind of happy that the White Claw Travel Best Life competition was specifically in the U.S. because I don't think I don't think I would ever spend that much money. Not that I would even have it to travel just in the U.S., but to have the opportunity to use it exclusively for that and really dig into all the amazing places we have here was a super cool opportunity. Because if it was all over the world, you could go so many different places, but this narrowing it down left me with like, let's really appreciate what we have here in the U.S., which is incredible, like you said.
Yep. You do. You're totally right. And the more I traveled the world in my early 20s, the more love I felt for the American West, and it inspired me to travel here. And that's basically exactly what you're doing. And and even now, there's so many places I haven't seen, despite seeing so much. You said Grand Tetons was your favorite place on the trip so far? Was there any place that surprised you, as far as like, wow, I did not expect this to be here?
It's funny. I've never heard much about Nebraska in my life because it's, pretty flat, pretty isolated as a state. But driving through, I went to Omaha, and surprisingly, Omaha was a hidden gem for me. It's not the most natural beauty place. Like there's the river and it's really nice, but I was just surprised by how lively and vibrant of a city it was. I had no idea, and I honestly only stayed there because it was, an in-between night. But I went to this little downtown area they have there, kind of the old streets with the cobblestones and stuff, and I was like amazed that it's such a cool city that I never even thought to visit. It's kind of smack dab in the middle of the country. But yeah, that was pretty surprising to me.
I did not expect you to say Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would.
We live, we border Nebraska here in Colorado, and
Mm.
I would say it is maybe underrated. We just mostly drive through. I rode a bike across it once. It took a week, but it was surprisingly. I love the openness. You really feel like you're on the Oregon Trail the entire time, and it's it's very sanitary landscape, very big sky, and it feels very very freeing out there. So I definitely get that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's I actually was reading on the road via audiobook while driving this to Jack Kerouac, and he talks a lot about the big sky in Nebraska as he drives through North Platte and all that. So I was kind of retracing his journey there, and it was, surprisingly really beautiful. So it's funny, you can kind of not expect it to be, and then it's an amazing place.
So what's been the best experience so far?
I've had a couple different ones. One night that really stands out was I was traveling with my friend Brooke, and we were in Grand Teton National Park, and we were driving out to get pizza because we had planned rather poorly and didn't pack any, camping. We didn't have the camp food set up. So we were driving all around trying to find this pizza place that's in the park. And we went to this dark building in the middle of the mountains there. And there was like a couple lights on, and we were like, this can't be it. This looks like someone's house. But we went in, we decided to risk it because we were starving. And we walked in, and it's like the most lively place. There's like 100 people in there, all drinking and eating food, and it's warm, and it was just like such a fun night to get to know people there and just hang out under the stars in Grand Teton. And it was just kind of a magical night that we found this, like, it's weird that it's a restaurant. That's my favorite thing. But like, it was just kind of the experience that night that was so cool.
That's a cool place, isn't it? Grand Teton.
Yeah, I loved everything about it because everywhere you drive there, there's like, the bison, or there's the mountains. They're always right there. The streets are wide open. And we saw moose, and we saw pretty much all the wildlife. We saw black bear when we were there. We saw a bunch of different wildlife. So it was a really cool park.
Yeah, it's an overwhelming place, and it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but man, people make their way out there because it is quite an anomaly on the landscape, and is just so dramatic. It's so dramatic, but yeah, so that's one of your most memorable moments so far. That's kind of neat.
It's weird that it's a restaurant. I did have a different time that was kind of memorable to me was being in Santa Cruz in California.
I used to go there all the time.
Isn't it such a cool little town?
Yeah,
I love. Yeah, it was just like the nicest people, great food, and then right on the water there. You're like always right on the beach. And to me, that was kind of the perfect laid back kind of beach town. So I'm excited to get back there hopefully one day because that's a really nice spot.
So what do you like to do out in these places when you go? Do you want to hike around? Obviously you love to take pictures. What are some other activities that you enjoy doing?
Yeah, hiking's a huge hobby of mine. I like to do it as much as possible. I just moved up to New Hampshire this year, and so there's tons of hikes around that area in Vermont and Maine. So I'm excited to explore that even more. But when I'm traveling, like we went to Glacier National Park and did some of the trails there, hiking, and I do love bringing my camera along, even though it's a bit of a hassle. I'd kind of rather just free hike, just have nothing. But yeah, I like to go up, hike. And then also in a lot of the cities I'm traveling to, my plan with White Claw that I proposed to them was kind of traveling and learning something. So I like to explore the local cultures. Like I said, with salsa dancing in Miami and in New Orleans, I'm trying to work with a musician I play piano, and I'd like to have kind of a piano lesson with a local legend or something and try to, really get into the music scene and feel like, I really experience the community there. So I try to do a bunch of different stuff and get out, and just being outside is kind of my favorite thing. So like you said, hiking.
By now you certainly know who Bent Gate is. That's for a great reason. Bent Gate Mountaineering has been sponsoring the Adventure Sports Podcast almost from the beginning, and we really appreciate that. They've made it possible for all the great shows to continue coming your way. We want to say thanks by reminding you to go to them for your backcountry gear. If you live in Colorado, then just stop by their store in Golden. If not, go to bentgate.com. They have what you need, from the latest ultralight gear to the tried and true classics for climbing, hiking, and camping, like Arc'teryx, Hilleberg, Nemo, Western Mountaineering, and many more. Need advice? They have you covered there too. Their staff are passionate adventurers who can offer help from their own experiences. Bentgate also hosts lots of events and speakers. Check out their website to see the schedule and to see all of their products. Help take care of the Adventure Sports Podcast by getting your gear from Bentgate Mountaineering.
This is Colorado nature photographer John Fielder with a great idea for gifting our state this season. Don't get mad at me. My latest Colorado book actually takes the color out of colorful Colorado. Carpets of purple columbine, forests of yellow aspens, and buff-colored herds of elk are rendered in black, white, and gray. You'll be mesmerized by the edges, shapes, and textures of our most beautiful of states. You'll love it. Visit johnfielder.com to see my new book, Colorado Black on White. That's johnfielder.com.
Well, we're gonna, with Camp Crate, we're gonna open up an itinerary in New Hampshire soon. So we might have you give it a shot for us. be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. That'd be awesome.
I think it's in Lincoln.
Oh yeah, a little bit up there compared to where I'm at. But yeah, I'm really southern. I'm in Portsmouth, so it's kind of right on the water. But there's tons. Yeah, it's all pretty close though. It's nice.
Yeah, it ain't too far, but that is a gorgeous area. I've only been there once, and yeah, big outdoor community, and y'all got the long trail there. You're gonna have so much fun. Gosh.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, once winter, I'm gonna do some hiking too, but once the spring comes around, I'm excited for next year to really get out and get some hikes under my belt.
So, man, with a 6-month trip, does it get old?
In some ways, I am enjoying it a lot, but it does give you a lot of time to think about your life and what I'm planning on doing, and I kind of overthink things a lot. So the traveling doesn't get old. I really love whenever I'm on a flight somewhere, I get really excited, or when I'm on the road and driving, by the end of the however many mile road trip that turned out to be, I was a little bit ready for it to be over, but I'm always excited for the next thing. So for me, it's perfect to be able to come back, edit some photos at home for a few days and then fly out somewhere new. So I think at the end of the 6 months, I'm going to probably miss that, the ability to be able to do that. But I'm going to try to shape a life that is going to be similar in some ways.
Do you feel like the right person to do this experience for White Claw?
Yeah, I think I'm a good fit. Hopefully, I hope they feel the same. But like I said, it's such an amazing opportunity, and their brand is all about adventure lifestyles and a healthy choice and stuff like that, and having fun and enjoying life. And so that's kind of exactly the points that I line up with in terms of my goals and enjoying what I enjoy doing. Excited, but also nervous for the end of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. You're going to feel a range of emotions on an experience, especially this long, and knowing that it probably can't be replicated in the same way, which is, like I said, totally fine. But we've talked a lot about like this experience and some of your concerns with going forward. But let's go back to, where did this start for you? When did you develop a love for this kind of stuff, photography, travel, and also, what led to this opportunity, essentially?
Yeah, I think it started probably back when I went to college for 1 year, and then I took a gap year in between freshman year and sophomore year to try to figure out what I wanted to do, because I was kind of aimless in college, as a lot of kids are, I think. You go and you're just like, what should I do? And you try to pick something quick, and then you're done with it before you even know it. But I took that gap year and I traveled and did a trip to Costa Rica, where I worked with like sea turtles and jaguar conservation. Very minorly, it was a volunteer thing, but I was there for about a month and did some other traveling, and kind of realized that I really had a passion for that, and kind of exploring different places and seeing, and hearing different languages and all this stuff. So kind of a love of travel developed for me then. And then I went back to school, and every year kind of thought like, oh, do I even want to be in school? What should I do? But eventually got my degree in sociology, but I also studied photo there. And so I decided after college, I really want to try to make photo my career, in that I really enjoy it, and it's a way to make money. You have to obviously pay the bills. So did that. And then the Instagram thing kind of just, Instagram came along somewhere in there. And then I realized suddenly, oh, I could make this into a job and get paid for it. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I like doing Instagram anyway for myself. So why not get paid to do it for, businesses and brands? And so I just started out going to local businesses and asking them if they wanted to me to run their social media. And at first people didn't think it was worthwhile, and they didn't realize that it was like a valuable thing or that it mattered at all. But then after Instagram kind of got rolling a bit more, I started getting some clients, and I was able to do that. And now it's grown into this. And I wouldn't have been able to pursue this White Claw opportunity had I had a more standard job. So I think it kind of all feels kind of, I hesitate to say meant to be, but it felt kind of like, if I hadn't done this and hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have been able to be here. So I'm really happy with how everything has worked out.
It's not meant to be, but that's the path that you chose, and it leads to those places, and if you were on a totally different path, well, guess what? Those opportunities wouldn't come to you because you haven't built any foundation for it. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Cool. Do you still do that? Reach out to brands and ask them to run their social media?
Well, when I first won and found out I won White Claw, I actually gave notice to all my clients that I was going to be taking a hiatus.
Yeah.
Really, for once, didn't really need the money and would rather be free to travel. So it's been really just full focus on White Claw and traveling and living my best life. But when once this wraps up, I think I'll get back into that world of kind of social media. But I like lifestyle kind of stuff, like natural products, like, just like White Claw, just kind of working with good brands that I really like the people and really like the product. So I don't work with brands that I don't like, and stuff like that.
Neat, man. So did you travel at all as a kid with your family, or is it something you started doing on your own with that gap year?
I grew up with 4 older siblings, so there's 5 of us kids, and my dad's a Lutheran pastor. So we didn't travel too much. Usually our vacation was like going to the town over and going to Marriott, where they had an indoor pool, which was nice, which was great memories. My parents, they gave us a great growing up life and whatnot, but we didn't travel too much. I lucked out in high school, actually. I went to public high school in Connecticut, and I was in the jazz band for piano, and they took us over spring break. We went and toured in Austria, Italy, and Germany, and we played shows there we towed our instruments around and went to all these incredible places. And so that, I really give a lot of credit to my band instructor from high school, Mr. Porter. He really inspired me to want to travel and realize that even with like a huge band of kids, like you can travel. Like he was leading all that. I don't know why he would ever want to do that, but leading us overseas to do that. So traveling on my own kind of was inspired by that.
Well, man, I would encourage you to reach out and tell him that inspired you, because I bet it is not easy for him to lead all them kids internationally, and those little bits of joy that he could probably get from you expressing that to him, I'm sure would make it all worth it, because that sounds like an absolute headache to me.
Exactly. That's what I thought too. I'll definitely be reaching out. I've been meaning to, actually, but it's only recently I realized how much of an impact that had. So
yeah, it's always important to do that. I actually just talked to actually, this would be a good contact for you too, John Fielder. He's like the Ansel Adams of our time. He was on the show, or I just recorded, it hasn't even released yet, but he'd be a great resource to figure out how to make a living doing this, because he's a photographer. He's made a career out of it. He's been doing this about 40 years, and he said once he got established, he reached back out to his the teacher that inspired all this, and it just blew her mind and made all that, years and years of teaching and struggle worth it.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. It's so cool, I bet, to be to realize that you've had an impact after all that, teaching and just getting through. Yeah.
Because it ain't easy. My wife's a teacher, and oh my gosh, it is like, it made me realize I never want to teach, honestly.
That's fair. It's hard, I bet. Yeah. That's incredible.
So you've got just so much more to see and learn and do. What are you looking forward to the most in the next 3 months? And what are you looking forward to the most after this whole experience is over?
I think in the next 3 months, while I'm finishing up the White Claw, I'm most excited about Hawaii. It sounds kind of stereotypical, or that'd be your guess probably, but it's just such a unique landscape for the U.S. To have that as part of the U.S. is so different, and it's the most extreme difference I think I'd find other than Alaska in terms of traveling in the U.S. So I'm super excited to get there and just kind of experience what that's like and learn a lot about the history. I don't know too much about the West Coast even, so Hawaii is way out there, being from New England myself. So I'm really excited to do that, and I really love trail running and stuff like that. So I'm hoping in Hawaii to do a bit of hiking, trail running, waterfalls, and all that stuff, along with pushing myself to take better photography and, learn more and more always. And then after the 6 months is up, that'll be February 1st. I'm really excited to explore my potential in different ways. Like this, I think of it as this could either be a really great springboard for the rest of my career in photo or something else, or it could just be kind of a cool part of my story, I guess. But I'd much rather have it be the former and, propel me into a life of travel and creative work and connecting with people, because that's really what I love doing. So I'm excited just for the potential and to see where this takes me.
I know one thing, it's probably not going to take you where you imagine it will right now, because these kinds of things, if someone would have told you, hey, in 2 years you're gonna be paid $60,000 to go travel for 6 months around the country, you would have probably not believed them. Honestly.
Yeah. That's true.
And you're halfway through that experience, which is just mind blowing. Which is so cool.
It's going so fast.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And so just take advantage of every second of it, and take as many pictures as you can, of course. But I'm excited for you, and I hope that you make the most of it, and keep going. Whatever you do, don't quit.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time with me today, and I'm super excited for the rest of the journey as well.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your trip with your family, and I'll be following you.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you know somebody that would make a good guest on the show, or if you have a pretty cool story about the outdoors or adventure sports that you want to tell us, please call us and leave a voicemail at 812-MAIL-POD. That is 812-624-5763. You can also send us an email at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. Again, it is always helpful to leave us a review on iTunes. And if you'd like to be a supporter of the show, you can give $5 a month at patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. And links for all that stuff is also in the show notes. So thanks again for listening, and y'all get out there and do something so you can be on the show one day. All right, later. Don't forget, if you want to save 20% off the best backpacking food you're ever going to eat, go to peakrefuel.com and use ASP20 at checkout.